This is the Begin Within podcast, where we believe real, lasting health and fitness requires you to start inside before you work out. I'm your host, Nate Sleger, and I'm here to show you behind the scenes of fitness. You already know exercise is good for you, but what about all the other things in life that affect your fitness? If you're looking for extra motivation to get started or to make sure you keep going, this is the place for you.
Produced by BeginWithin.fit.
Improving health is about so much more than just losing weight. But I realize weight loss might be the goal that brought you here to the Begin Within podcast. That's why I wrote my latest book, 5 Ways to Stop Wrecking Weight Loss, to reveal the 5 areas that I see are most overlooked by the people that I work with who want to lose weight. Each one of the chapters in this free ebook describes that specific area that you need to focus on to improve your health and get great permanent results. And it also links back here to episodes of the podcast where we've had experts on the show talking about that specific area. So you can benefit from those previous episodes while you're learning about how to maximize the results that you're after. You can get your free copy of my ebook, 5 Ways to Stop Wrecking Weight Loss, by going to beginwithin.fit/ebook or going to the link in the show notes. Now is a great time to do a little multitasking while you're listening to the start of this episode. Head over to grab your free copy of my book, 5 Ways to Stop Wrecking Weight Loss. If you missed the URL, here it is again, beginwithin.fit/ebook, or there is a link in the show notes for you. Grab your copy, and now let's get on with today's episode. We are just beginning the year 2023, and I realize that so many of you, so many of us, we have these big goals for 2023. We are ready to go. We're ready to make some big changes. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we teach our students in the Begin Within Habit Academy when it comes to setting goals. This is going to be a huge help to you. The things that I'm about to share with you, it took me a long, long time of not just working on my own health and fitness, but helping other people before I started to realize these things. I started to see individuals not being successful, even though we were approaching it the way that experts and the way that I had been taught to approach the process. So today we're going to dig in to how to set goals, the Begin Within way, so that you can be more successful than you've ever been before this time. So if you've got some big resolution, some big goal that you're working on right now, I'm going to encourage you just to take a step back, just listen and see how you might refine it. I'm not saying get rid of it, but I'm just saying refine it. Just dial it in a little bit for this year. And I realize too that some of our listeners are personal trainers. You're helping other people. This is going to make a big difference for your clients if you're able to catch on to this and really help them to do the same thing. So in the episode today, we're going to talk about something that I'm pretty sure that you have heard before, and that is the idea of setting SMART goals. The reason that I'm sure you've heard of it is I have heard of it so much. And I realize that might just be me because I'm into motivation, I'm into goal setting, I'm into learning about this stuff. But when I've read chapters in textbooks about personal training. ACSM, the American College of Sports Medicine, they recommend setting SMART goals, that personal trainers and other fitness professionals do that with their clients. And of course, if you just Google it, you are going to find so many resources that talk about SMART goals. I'm going to take you step by step through that framework and not spend so much time on what I was taught in the past, but I'm going to spend time telling you how I have found it works so much better. And I think by the end, I hope that you're going to see setting goals in a whole new way, a whole new light. And along the way, I'll explain to you why we have come to these conclusions at Begin Within when it comes to setting smart goals. Now, before we dig in, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between goals and aspirations and explain to you why I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about goals. Now, goals and aspirations are different. Aspirations are bigger, right? They're generally so much bigger. And what I have found is that most people with aspirations, they think that's a goal. An aspiration can be something like improve my self-confidence. It can be something even, I believe, it could be something like improve my health. It could be something like lose weight. They're big things, right? There's so many different elements that go into the process of attaining that thing. And so I want you to, whatever your aspiration is, I want you to think about it right now. And then I want to invite you to start thinking about what are the pieces of that? How would I get there? And what I think you're going to find is it's about so much more than what we think. It is about so much more than we see at first glance. So many times an aspiration like weight loss, right? That's a big one. There's so many things that go into that. And the turnaround answer is, well, what's my goal? My goal is to work out and eat healthier in order to attain that. That's what I want to focus on. And of course, those are also big things. And there are many different parts to making those things happen. And what I want you to do is start looking at the idea of pulling these bigger goals, these bigger aspirations apart into smaller and smaller pieces, because that's the direction that we need to go ultimately to begin within smart goals. Here's how we teach it in the Begin Within Habit Academy. We teach that goals are achieved by developing skills, which are developed by practices. Practices are like our daily actions or our habits. So instead of setting smart goals, we want to dial it down. Again, skills help us to achieve our goals. If I have the skills to do it, now I can do it with a little bit more focus. But how do I develop the skills? I do that through practice. We're used to that, as a sports metaphor, we're used to that concept, right? How do we develop the skills to win the game? Winning the game's the goal. Well, we need skills to do it, and we develop those at practice. Well, the same is true of you and me when it comes to improving our health. If we have that big, huge aspiration, right? Man, I almost forgot my words here. If we have that big aspiration to improve our health, and whatever that looks like for you, lowering numbers that the doctor likes to check on, or seeing a lower number of your body weight on the bathroom floor scale, whatever it is, it's about improving our health. We're here to improve our health, to become better versions of ourselves. And so we need skills to make that happen. The way we develop those skills is through practices, daily practices. And so I want to, instead of thinking about smart goals, I want you to think about smart practices. And now I've used that word smart a few times. And if you're not familiar with it, it is an acronym. SMART, SMART. They stand for specific things that help us to set good goals, or to set good, I want to call it maybe focuses, to set a good focus for us. And I'm going to tell you about the Begin Within approach now to setting smart focuses. I almost said smart goals. I want to try to forget about saying that word goals, but you're going to see it everywhere. If you Google it, it's smart goals, right? That's just how we talk about it. That's the lingo. So I want you to focus on a very specific thing in your life in order to develop the skill that you need in order to develop the goal that you want to reach. Hopefully you're following me. Here's how we do it. Now, the SMART, SMART, right? It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Now, you're going to find maybe some slightly different words used there, but that's basically what you're going to find everywhere that you Google it. There's, like I said, there's some small differences, but here's what we use this acronym for, or here's our take on it at Begin Within. Specific, a specific goal, a specific focus in order to achieve the thing that you want. That's the S, specific. And anybody I've talked to that has an idea of what their specific goal or their specific focus is going to be, I found that it's never specific enough. Right? The old way of thinking about specific, the S from the SMART goals, is to say, well, it has to be real specific. It has to be like, I want to lose 12.5 pounds. That's specific. That, to me, is not specific enough. My question is, what are you going to do to lose the 12 pounds? What are you going to do every single day in order to move in that direction? What are you going to do to improve your health? What is the action that you will take? It has to be a very specific action. It has to be a what will you do? And my other question for specific would be when. When will you do it? And this is where we're going to start breaking down into small pieces, because if it's something like a very specific, well, I'm going to work out for 1 hour every single day, I will say, what are the pieces of that? What are the things that will lead you to get to the workout? Because in any process, in any set of action steps, there's always that one step that once you take it, the rest just kind of flow real easily. And our goal is to find that step in the process that you want to take. We're going to get so specific that even if you want to work out for an hour every single day, I want it more specific. I want to know what step in the action sequence are you going to focus on making sure that you get done? Is it getting in the car to drive to the gym every single day? Is it walking down the basement steps to go into your workout area? Is it putting on your workout shoes? Whatever that thing is, that once you've done it, you're feeling like, hey, I'm good to go. I am going to move forward with the rest of the sequence of actions that I'm focusing on taking. And so now that specific focus, that specific practice, we dial it in so tiny. It is so small that it almost seems insignificant, but you and I both know how important it is to get you to follow through. That is the S in SMART, specific. What are you going to do that's going to lead you to the place you want to be? And when will you do it? Specific. What time of day? And as far as I'm concerned, if it's not something we're going to do every single day, this process is pretty meaningless, because we need a time set aside. We need a chunk of our day that is dedicated to accomplishing this. So I want to encourage you, if it's not something daily that you can practice that you're focusing on right now, then pick something else that's going to contribute to that big aspiration that you can do every single day. So you can just have a time of your day that is scheduled, planned, that is slotted for this action. What will you do? When will you do it? Measurable is the next. It's the M in SMART. Measurable. Now, we talk about this, people say, I want to run 100 meters. That's 100 meters. I want to run it in this many seconds. That's this many. We can measure it with seconds. I want to lose weight. I can measure it on the scale. I want to lose inches. I can measure it with a measuring tape. No. Here's how we have broken down the word measurable in SMART goals. I want to be able to measure it the way I can measure if I took my vitamins or not today. How do you measure it? Well, if you have one of those like 7-day, you know what I'm talking about, right? The little vitamin things. Each day is its own little box. It has a little cover that flips open, and it has the day of the week on it, or just the first letter of each day of the week. Did I take my vitamins or not? Did I do my action or didn't I to get healthier, right? It's a yes or it's a no. That's how we measure it. We measure it with yes or no. Those are the answers. That's how I measure it. Did I do it or didn't I? And then I have to track it, right? if I'm going to actually measure, I have to do the measurement. And the measurement can be with a notepad. It can be with an app on your phone. It can be with a piece of paper you put on the fridge. It doesn't matter to me, but it has to be measurable. And all I'm looking for to measure is, did I, yes, do it? That one specific action that I have a set time of day to do, or did I no, not do it? Yes or no. That's how I measure. That's how we measure practices at Begin Within, the practices that will help you develop the skills that will lead you to what you want. Measurable, yes or no. And then actually measure it, track it. Did you do it or didn't you? Now, achievable. That's the A in SMART, specific, measurable, achievable. Achievable. This one blows my mind because so often I talk with people who have tried stuff and then they failed at it. It didn't go the way they wanted to, and so they fail and they throw in the towel. Now, often it has to do with this A right here. Was it achievable? Was it truly achievable? And I would argue this: if you didn't get it done, if I didn't get it done, if I didn't do it, then it wasn't achievable enough. It wasn't easy enough. The thing is, so often, like at the first of the year, we have all this motivation with a fresh start, this whole idea. And so we can take on some really big stuff. And for a little while, it can be achievable because we have this feeling, this feeling inside of us that's like pushing us. This is my year. It's January 1. It's a fresh calendar. And we can do it for a little while. But the thing is, we stop doing it. The reason we stop doing it is because it's too hard. We can get into all kinds of other things. Tell me about your childhood or whatever, right? The bottom line is this: if I didn't do it, it was too hard to do. It wasn't actually achievable. Now, that doesn't mean we throw away the whole aspiration, the whole goal. We stop trying to develop the skill, but we just have to make it more achievable. So that's my question. Is it easy enough? Is it achievable enough for you to do this thing, to say yes to it day after day, the action at the specific time? Is it small enough? Is it tiny enough? Is it easy enough for you to feel super confident, like 95 out of 100 confident that you can absolutely do it? Oh, that's easy. Yeah, I can do that for sure. Now, don't forget, we're going to build on this as we go. Just because we have one focus, one SMART focus for a week or two or three or a month, it doesn't mean that we're not going to expand and explore more and do more, but we have to start somewhere. And if you're starting out now, in January, beginning of the year, this is the best way to do it. I promise you. Because when you say, yes, I did it, yes, I did it, yes, I did it, you create a string of success that you don't want to break. You get confidence from action. You get motivation from taking that action over and over again, and it becomes a part of your life to the point where you want to do it, to the point where if you don't do it, your brain feels like something's missing. That's what we're shooting for, and that is only possible when it is very, very achievable, very easy. So you have specific, measurable, and achievable. Let's talk about relevant. Now, this relevancy, it means it has to connect back to your bigger aspiration. You have to be sure that what you're doing is going to impact that bigger thing. And so often, this is the one people get right? So often they're picking goals and they get it. Yes, it connects back. So very rarely have I seen someone pick something that doesn't connect back to the bigger aspiration. But it does have to be relevant to what you ultimately want. And if you're checking all the boxes, it's specific. I'm doing it, and I'm doing it at the time I set aside to do it, and I'm saying yes, yes, yes. I'm measuring it, and I'm executing it. I'm following through. I'm being successful. It's achievable. It's easy enough for me to do that. But ultimately, I know I'm not moving forward. Then I need to pick something that's more relevant, right? More appropriate for my bigger goal. Let's talk about time-bound. And I've seen this, so many different experts have applied it in different ways. Here's how I say time-bound. It means that it has to have a time frame applied to it that you are going to do the thing. And now so many people will say, well, I'm going to do it forever. I want to keep doing it. I want to do it long term. This is about changing my life. So how could I place a time frame on it? Here's what the time frame's for. The time frame is for reflecting back. How long are you going to do it before you reflect on all these things again? How relevant it is, how achievable it is, how your measurements have been going. Is it specific enough? All that, we have to reflect back on that. And if it's checking all the boxes and you are following through, doing it every day, yes, 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 then the reflection period serves to do this for us. It serves to give us an opportunity to go deeper. It serves to give us an opportunity to expand what we're doing. I'm going to do this and this now. Or I'm going to do this thing, but I'm going to do it a little bit better, a little bit farther. That's the idea of having this time element incorporated into our focus. And for us, the Begin Within Habit Academy, we do this every single week. We invite our students to reflect back on how the week's been going. How did it go? Did you do it? Did you not do it every single day, that habit that you've been focusing on? If not, we have to make it easier for the following weeks. We have to make some adjustments. We have to do something differently. And if it's been going great, then we have to expand. Let's not lose this momentum, right? And you can do the exact same thing in your life. Make smart focuses a part of your goals and aspirations, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And I would encourage you, do it the way that we do it at Begin Within in order to be ultimately as successful as you possibly can be. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. I love talking about this stuff. I hope you can tell that. I'm sure you can. And nothing would make me happier than if you would take a screenshot of yourself listening to this episode of the Begin Within podcast and then post it and tag me, Nate Sleger, so that I can celebrate you and what you're accomplishing. I would love to get your feedback as well, so feel free to reach out. You can message me as well, Nate Sleger, and let me know what you thought of this episode. If you agreed, if you disagreed, I'm okay with that. Give me your feedback. I'm happy to hear it. And lastly, if you haven't done so, this is a really cool thing that you could do for me. Rate and then take just a few seconds to review. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, just review the podcast in your podcast player. I don't have commercials here on the podcast. That is the way that this keeps growing. More people listen. They come here to become part of the community, and that's how you can help me to be successful. So I appreciate you so much for doing that. I appreciate you for being here with me, and I'll talk to you again here on the Begin Within podcast.